This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
This is the Lariat God, the owner of Combat Zone Wrestling, DJ Hyde, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello. So it's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. The trusted choice of interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and CastBox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Oil Coffee for 4 freaking years. I am, of course, your host, James J. And it's a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the owner of Combat Zone Wrestling, the Lariat God, DJ Hyde.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. How are you?
Well, I'm making it through the day, slowly but surely, but it's so it's just another day today. Got a lot going on.
And I know that there is a lot going on, and I appreciate you coming on and talking to me because it seems like CZW is getting that boost that it's needed in the last couple of years.
Well, we're making a lot of changes, and there's going to be a lot of new things coming out this year. 2023 is going to be a big year for the company with a lot of things we have planned and some of the projects and events that we're moving towards.
All right. And what do you have coming up next?
So here in this month in January, we have our Combine. What the Combine is actually, it is our version of a tryout. Basically, anyone who wants to partake in this, we are looking for talent in ring, out of ring, behind the scenes, in front of the camera. This is your opportunity. We are doing 2 of them this month, one on January 8th at our venue in Havre Grace, Maryland, the State Theater, and we are doing one January 15th in our studio. The tryouts, all you have to do is email talent@czwrestling.com to reserve your spot with your resume, demo package, a little bit of information, which then from there, we will go into basically testing everyone. And we are hosting events that night that people from the tryouts will wrestle with our main roster. So it could be anybody wrestling, someone like Fred Yehi or Rich Swann, or someone like Griffin McCoy, or the Rep. And realistically, we're trying to develop something different moving into this month and, looking for the future. If people are asking what we're looking for people who are investable in all avenues, whether it's production, social media, in-ring, commentary, you name it. We definitely want to see you because we definitely want to build the future and the future of CZW.
Absolutely. And where can we find all things at CCW social media wise?
You can find us at Combat Zone on, Instagram, Twitter, official Combat Zone on Facebook. You can find us on Snapchat as well as TikTok at Combat Zone, where we also should be developing some new things that'll be coming out in 2023, some new social media apps. Like Hyde is something that we're looking into, and a few others. So you can check us out there, or you can just go to czwrestling.com and find all things CZW at that location.
And DJ Hyde personally on social media?
I'm at DJ Hyde _1 On pretty much all social media except for Facebook, it is David John Markland, and you can find me there because for some reason Facebook doesn't like DJ Hyde, but you know, a lot of people dislike me, so you can find me. I'm very open to chatting with people. My DMs are open. Feel free. If you're a wrestler looking for, work or critiques, if you're somebody looking to get into the industry and looking at, possibly attending a wrestling school or, just, have a question about tickets or an upcoming event or anything, I'm pretty good with getting back to people. I'm usually back to them relatively quickly. Or you can always email me at djhyde@czwrestling.com. I answer every email that goes direct to my email, and you can go in, or you can just tell me I suck. I really don't care. It's up to you. But I don't mind, and I definitely love hearing from talent and fans, and people of all walks of life and all avenues.
And all of CCW and your social media, all the links will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. Simply go into the description, click the link, and you will be there. Alright. Usually I start off with, can you tell us about your company? Because some people say, maybe somebody don't know about Pizza Party Pro or CCW or Without a Cause. I feel like everybody knows CCW.
CZW is a very well-known brand in the industry. It's been around for going on 24 years, and it started in 1999 by John Zandig. I took it over in 2009. If you watched, the major television wrestling companies like WWE or AEW or Impact or something along those lines, Ring of Honor, which is kind of AEW, I guess that's how we're going to word it.
Yeah.
You've definitely seen a multitude of people that either were trained by us or have come through our program or have worked for CZW, and it's a great thing seeing that. So on the Northeast scene, we're one of the more popular, probably one of the most well-known companies in the world, especially in the independent scene.
Right.
So obviously this year, I think people are going to see a lot of different things coming from CZW and stepping it up in a lot of different avenues, and a lot of stuff that hopefully gets people excited about checking out all the things that we're involved in.
Is that where that a new slogan comes from? A renaissance of tradition?
So the Renaissance or tradition is kind of getting back to old CZW and the philosophies of professional wrestling and what it's based on. The feeling coming out of COVID and going to what we've been doing is, nobody's really telling great stories anymore. And nobody's really building it. It's a lot of people putting on these great matchups and these dream matches and stuff, but and I understand there are times where you got to do the match if you get it, if you have that special person, but nobody's really doing stories, and that's something that we're trying to get back to focusing on. And getting people invested in that. It's one of those things. The other thing is getting back to the traditions of what CZW was built on. I think a lot of people do see the ultra-violent side of what we've done in the past, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about what the plans are. But, some things that we need to get back to is that something for everybody. For every Nick Gage, there was an Adam Cole. For every wife beater, there was, a Trent Acid and so on, and getting back to getting people to enjoy it and have just a great time and enjoy professional wrestling. I think some of those things are kind of missing in today's environment, and that's kind of where it came from.
Now, as of this recording, we are going into a show on the 18th of December featuring New Japan wrestler KENTA.
That is correct.
So is that this event kind of the kickback of trying to start this renaissance of tradition that we're trying to get into 2023?
I think what it is it's building people the way that I want them built. Griffin McCoy is wrestling KENTA on December 18th, and as of this recording, that has not happened. And Griffin is a guy that is going to be a star in this industry.
Yes.
I believe in him. If you haven't been paying attention to this young man, this is somebody that you're going to start seeing, showing up everywhere. If somebody doesn't offer him a contract and scoop him up in the next 3 to 5 years. He works his tail off. He deserves it. Kent is definitely a guy that has influenced him. And, when this kind of opportunity to get somebody in like KENTA, who is probably one of the pillars of wrestling in Japan right now. He's a legend, easily, especially with modern wrestling and style. You got to take that opportunity. And, CZW has done a little bit of work with New Japan and built a small relationship there. And, it's worked out very well for us. I think the other thing, too, is one of the things that is completely, been really happening to CZW. During COVID, we decided to not run events. Didn't really feel it was something we should have been doing, and it would have been very challenging as it was. So, our exposure kind of fell off. So one of the things that we have to do is get eyes back on us and seeing this. That kind of also goes into that Renaissance or tradition thing where I said CZW's origination. A lot of these guys are young guys that are coming out of the school. And yes, we have some veterans like Rich Swann and a Fred Yehi and JD Drake and a few others. And, a lot of these guys are homegrown talents. That's how Zandig started CZW, with a handful of his students. And I think what's happening is you're starting to see their work. And having someone like KENTA on an event, we're going to make this an experience. We have a lot of things coming in 2023 that is going to just kind of put eyes on the product. And some things that you'll see coming that will be debuting.
All right. And we love Griffin on the show. We've had the pleasure of having him on the show. So, why like you mentioned, you got Rich Swann and Fred Yehi. Why was Griffin McCoy the right guy to put up against KENTA?
Realistically, he's ranked very high in the company. Top 5 guy. He recently beat the number 1 ranked guy. And honestly, if you're looking at it from a promoter standpoint and from, a creative standpoint, Fred Yehi and Rich Swann, while that would be any of those guys, would be a phenomenal match. And I'm sure people would love to come out to see that. I'm very invested in the future. And, guys like Rich was a young guy in CZW, and now he's traveled the world and he's on national television. Fred works, for New Japan. He's probably one of the top, if not the top, independent wrestler, out there going today. he is just simply a phenomenal pro wrestler. And, you know, Griffin needs it. Griffin, he has something that he has to prove, not just to, you know, someone like myself who believes into him, but to the people out there, you know, believing. I mean, he carries CZW on his back at times. He believes he's the guy to bring us into the future. And, you know, this is definitely something that he deserves. And I want to make sure that, you know, the young talents and the guys that I believe in and I know what they're going to be, they get these opportunities. And if I can deliver them, I plan to. And that's why Griffin deserves it. Just like other people deserve things that are going to be coming to them too, and they're going to get those opportunities.
And that's really awesome to hear because, you know, if a lot of people would say, well, we have KENTA and we have Blitzswan, we'll put them together. And, you know, you're trying to build, you know, the next stars of the next future with Griffin. I believe you said that he's even the next Adam Cole.
I mean, I don't know about the next Adam Cole. He's the next Griffin McCoy. There's only one Adam Cole and one Griffin. I mean, but he has that kind of potential to, he has that kind of potential to break out. I mean, he's still a very young guy. And I think, you know, and the industry is definitely different than it was when Adam broke in and was with us training and doing all those things and, you know, winning best of the best and proving himself time and time again. Griffin definitely is similar, but also has something different. He has a drive in him that is unlike most people I've ever seen. I mean, I can tell you he takes this business very, very seriously. And this match he has taken as serious as anything I have seen. I mean, he's training all the time. He's there every day. When he can't get into the gym, I mean, even in the freezing cold, he's out in his backyard working out, doing whatever he can. I mean, if you follow him on Instagram, you'll probably see it. You know, he'll go for a run through Philly, which is where he lives. And, you know, he's putting in those extra hours, studying the tape. I mean, he could probably tell you every single thing that KENTA does because he has watched that much of him just for this match. And, you know, come December 18th, he's going to be ready to go. And I expect it to be phenomenal, and we'll see who comes out on top.
All right. Now, going into 2023, your current CZW champion is Joe Gacy. Current WWE NXT superstar.
Currently, if you follow CZW and what we've been doing through what we've produced, we are building to our best of the best to crown a new champion. Some guys have already qualified for that. There'll be some talents that are brought in. We have a brand new CZW world title, and very happy about that. I will cheaply plug Wildcat Belts because they did a phenomenal job, and they are making all of our new belts. And we are going to crown a new CZW champion at our best of the best event. Right now, we are tentatively on hold on what date that's going to be, because we would really like to have it in Philadelphia. And, you know, venues are a little bit more costly than they used to be. And, you know, we're trying to find the right place. So, tentatively, we're probably looking at doing it in Maryland, if not. But, you know, Philly's still on that radar and something that we're looking into that we've been looking for quite a while. And we still have some places we want to visit before that decision gets made.
Yeah, can get Joe Gacy to send the belt back. Too costly for shipping.
Well, we have a brand new title. I mean, we made a new one. So, you know, I'm very proud of Joe. Again, he's another guy, you know, CZW trained. former multiple time champion. He's doing amazing down at NXT right now. I'm so proud of him, and so many others that are, our students down there. Trick Williams is down there. I think a lot of guys see him with Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah.
I mean, these are guys that have come right out of the CZW Wrestling Academy, and now they're doing their thing on television, and I'm beyond proud of them and so happy.
Did you ever reach out to WWE to maybe get him to drop the title, come for one of them just to drop the title?
Yeah, well, I don't think that's going to happen. So contracted guys, they don't allow that very often. So I really wish that would happen. But Joe's got a good thing going on right now with the schism and everything that they're doing. I just don't see them dropping that title. That him coming here and defending the championship at all. So I expect to see Joe on Raw and SmackDown within the next year. So he'll go out there and show him what it takes to be a CZW guy.
Oh, for sure. And I only put it up because never say never in pro wrestling.
No, you cannot never say never.
Yes. All right. Besides CCW, you also own Women's Superstars Uncensored. Can you tell us about that company?
WSU is a premier women's brand. Basically, Brittany Blake is our champion currently. You see stars like Kristen Statlander at AEW, and as of this interview, because I know they have a pay-per-view coming up here this weekend, AEW, or Ring of Honor, women's champion Mercedes Martinez, Penelope Ford, the Bunny. There are so many people that have come through CZW and WSU. Currently coming out of COVID, though, WSU has kind of been on a hiatus because we're rebuilding. A lot of our stars are currently at AEW or WWE, as we mentioned. Are technically the current CZW champion is Joe Gacy. So as we rebuild, we're trying to take one step at a time. I'm hoping either late 2023 or maybe 2024, WSU will come back and start running pretty regular events again. Because right now, people are starting to ask for it, but the scene is a little bit different, so we got to kind of sit back and kind of judge what's going to happen. So, and go from there.
Okay. So, it does. So right now we're focusing on CCW and then go to WSU going into the future.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff on the table right now, so I mean, it's a matter of building a new roster. I mean, you're seeing a lot of people, are currently on television. Our budget is what our budget is, and I want to give people a great experience when they come out and see great talent. And I know we can develop that. And I believe in our team. And now that, we have Michael Pankos back of Pankos Productions, who is going to be producing all of our events moving into 2023. Starting in February, it's pretty much, all him. We are... and his crew and his team. And I mean, it's great to have him back after many years. And WSU is something that, again, with CZW running.
DJ?
2023 already have on the schedule and possibly adding more. WSU's got to fit in there somewhere. It's just a matter of, the right timing, right place, and we can build it from there.
Alright, and where can we find Women Superstars Uncensored on social media?
You can find that at WSU Wrestling on every one of those platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, as well as TikTok and Snapchat. And you can find all that information at czwrestling.com. Once we're ready to get things back up and rolling, everything will be there. It'll have its own landing page and everything.
Now, I believe this relationship started before the pandemic. Can you tell us about the CCW-WXW relationship?
WXW has had a relationship with CZW roughly since 2009. I have done business with them personally as a talent prior to me owning the company, and it just made sense. CZW has ran shows in Germany with conjunction of them. We have been part of the World Triangle with them and Big Japan Pro Wrestling in the past. Currently, they are kind of in a similar position to us, where they are building. Obviously, guys like Gunther and Imperium are from there. There's many of the talents that you saw at NXT UK, as well as now that are coming up through NXT, are from there. So we do have a relationship that we've been in discussions on what we're going to do, but obviously we're still coming out of things and trying to figure it out. I have been periodically sending talents over there for what I like to call sabbaticals. Well, they'll go over for a month, do events in Europe and train with WXW, and because there's so much more wrestling over there than there is really in the U.S. So it's a great experience and something that we plan to do. We already have some things set up on the agenda for that, and I'm hopefully going to do what we originally planned for CZW to come back to Europe, and we would love to be working with them. They're great partners. They're great people to work with. I honestly can't say enough good things about them because I have known them since they were just a little teeny deathmatch company started by a guy named Hyde. And now they're probably one of the largest European wrestling promotions there is. So, if not the largest. So it's one of those things that it's a great thing. I mean, there's 16-carat shows. I mean, that entire weekend is something that you just got to be there and be a part of and see.
All right. Now, let's do a little word association. I'll give you a name of a wrestler, and you tell me the first thing that comes to mind.
Sure.
Adam Cole.
He's my kid.
Griffin McCoy.
Future.
Christian Robinson.
Skateboarding. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Theo Ivory.
Unique.
Mother Endless.
How? First thing that comes to mind with Mother, scary.
I agree with that one.
Uh,
Kit Osborne.
Worker.
Layla Bush.
Prodigy.
And lastly, Joe Gacy.
Brilliant.
Alright. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Obviously, you're a very controversial subject in the world of pro wrestling. It seems like most of it comes from you just buying the company, and when something goes wrong, whether it's your fault or not, you're the one that kind of gets blamed. And it's not even more so that you're the owner, it's more so you're the name that people know. So do you kind of feel like you're under the microscope when it comes to fans just waiting for something to go wrong?
I mean, not exactly. I mean, you have to understand, Zandig and me are much different people. I feel, and I mean, the proof is definitely in the paper. You know, in my era of owning the company, more guys have done more things. We've gone more places. We've, done, bigger things, worked with bigger companies, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think you ever get the praise for all the work you do and all the hard work you do. I mean, even the major independent scenes out there right now pretty much all stem from Combat Zone Wrestling.
Yes.
And a lot of the guys that are associated or even own them all come from an era of being around me. I mean, I was doing things prior to me owning the company. I was already, training people at the school, doing other behind the scenes things. I think a couple other reasons that I'm not very well liked by the audience is, one, I have always been the bad guy in pretty much most places I've been. And my theory of being the bad guy was, crossing lines, going, if they say you can only go to this, go farther. Take it to extremes. Say and do the things that literally get to people and make them feel away, because that's what, I was taught. And, at the end of the day, if you're the bad guy, you got to play. And, the real person, not that, not very vocal on social media. I'm not, I'm not one of those guys that is into that woke society. I'm not, but I am a very vocal person, and I will tell people, things that they don't want to hear sometimes. And, or, a lot of people try to think they're my best friend or whatnot. And I feel that way. But again, I don't blame any of them. At the end of the day, I bought the company. Anything that anybody says or feels or whatever, that's on me, because I am the boss. I am the guy. At the end of the day, whether it was my fault or not, I'm the guy that has to own it. And because I do own the company, I mean, I didn't book all the matches. I mean, I've had several different people booking, and, I've had people doing many, many different things. But regardless of if this person books something and it doesn't work out, it's still DJ did. And at the end of the day, you take it on the chin and you just move forward. The only thing I can really do is learn from it and try to go, okay, what can I take from this? How can I use this as a benefit? Again, we've had a lot of controversy. It's, there was this stuff with us selling content. Hey, it's a business. I got to pay the rent. Like, we got bills. I think people forget that at the end of the day, one of the things that people don't forget is that, we want to do cool stuff. I want to have guys like KENTA and stuff in all the time, but KENTA comes with a price. And it's not one of those things where if you don't have it, you can't do it. You got to have it to do it. And if I got rent to pay, I got to do what I got to do. If there's a deal on the table, I don't want to lose the deal. And, I know some of that is kind of blown up in our face, and it's stuff that you got to learn from. It's not stuff that I specifically said, oh, we're going to do this, and I think people think I sit back in a room and go, we're going to do this. This is going to piss them off. And like, I think that there are people out there like that at times, but it's never really my intent. It's my intent right now. It is definitely like all about developing the next generation of CZW and taking the company in a different direction and doing a lot of creative things, because we have a lot of creative things on the table. and things that we can get into talking about, and some things that honestly we can't because they're just not out there yet. So it's one of those things that there's so many things that can happen that are exciting, but they can also blow up in your face, and regardless of if it blows up in my face, I take the blame. And if anybody hears this, whether they're a wrestler or a fan, and they're kind of like, screw DJ, blah 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 blah, he ruined all this stuff, you know what, I'll take that blame. All I can say to them is, like, if you haven't checked out CZW in a while, come check it out. It message me. You can reach me. I'll get back to you. It might take me a day or so sometimes, but I'll get back to you. And I'm more than happy to say, okay, well, what did you not like? Give me feedback. What is it that people don't like? Like, why do you not like me? And then hear people out. And then if it's something that we can work on, we can work on it. If we can get more people to come see the product, whether it's through our streaming services or at live events or whatnot, I'm happy to do that. And I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of rambling a little, but it's one of those things where it's ultimately, like I said, it's my responsibility, and I'll take it on the chin. So they can keep hating me, and I'll be all happy as long as they just keep supporting the great group of guys and girls I have. Men and women, yeah, we'll do that with people, yeah.
People.
But you got to get politically correct nowadays. It's a little bit different than it used to be.
No, you're absolutely right. Do you find it ironic that these people, they hate you for whatever, for X, Y, and Z, but they, since 2009, probably about all of them have been to a CCW, enjoyed the product, all the shows that you've done, enjoyed the wrestlers, and have the company essentially, for some of them, a part of their lives, and then say, oh yeah, I enjoy the product, I hate DJ Hyde, but it's your product and you put all that together and you did all that, but you're not kind of getting the credit for that.
I mean, there's an old rule in professional wrestling, James, that a lot of people don't know. It's called the wrestling business owes you nothing. All right, it's said, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how big your name is or what your role is or anything. It owes you nothing. It is going to be there today and will be there tomorrow and be there as long as time goes on. It's not going anywhere. People can hate me and not know anything about me, and that is their opinion and their feeling. And I can't really change that unless they give me the opportunity or the chance to. While I'm very happy they've enjoyed that, again, I can sit here and say things and brag as DJ Hyde would, but as the real DJ, it's just not what I'm going to do. What I can sit there and go at this point and say, look at all these great things I've done, and look at all these people that have been through here, and whether they want to admit it or not, I've had my touch on that. They have a little bit of me, and that's all I can take from it. And they're not going to say thank you. They're not going to say, oh yeah, he should be given an award or anything. I mean, like I said, like, even a thank you, you're not going to get those things. And you realize that early in your career, you have to figure out, like, it's all you, and nobody owes you anything, regardless of all the work you've done for them. They don't need to care, and the fans don't know either, and they don't need to care, because that's not what it's about to them. They want to come and enjoy it, and they want to like everything about it, and if that's how they feel, that's how they feel.
Well, as somebody, that has known about CCW for a very long time. And,
Mhm.
CCW has a very special meaning to me because our very first interview was with a CCW guy, Christian Robinson. So, having you on is kind of like a full circle for me. And I will tell you right now, thank you. Thank you
Oh
for
no.
CCW. Thank you for what you've done for the wrestling business.
Well, I mean, you have to look at it this way. So when guys come and train and that are from outside guys, because a lot of people that train in my class specifically, like specifically with me, are from other areas. They get sent to me, or they want to get better. And I don't ask them for anything. It's like I said with our combine. I'm looking for talent. It's free. We're not charging people to do a tryout or whatever you want to call it. I generally have the right intentions. Is it going to work out all the time? And am I going to tell some people they're probably not good enough? Yeah. Because there is a standard in this company and what we're trying to set.
Right.
You have to want to be here. You have to earn it. And at the end of the day, too, it's not just me. My staff and all the talent that are going to be there. The guys that are wrestling on the show that night are going to be there and watch you. They're going to sit there and watch you go through this. And they know, all of them already know what these combines are going to be. They know what we're doing, how we're doing it. It's already been laid out to these guys, and they know. And they're going to come back and go, well, I saw this. And, we're trying to build that. We're together. I can't do this without you guys. I mean, you're a podcaster, or however you want to say it. I mean, you're helping us promote. If one person listens to this and decides, oh, DJ motivated me, I want to check out the show, or I want to go train there, or hey, I'm here. Maybe I'll just email or DM him or whatever it is, and actually say my piece, whatever, and it changes their mind. It's worth it. I can't do this without any of those people. And they have to buy in and believe on what I'm doing. So again, it's one of those things that you don't have to thank me. Like Griffin McCoy doesn't have to thank me because he's wrestling one of his heroes. That, a lot of stuff that Griffin does is because of that. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that we all grow from it and learn from it. If KENTA can benefit him and benefit the company from being here, and people come out and go, hey man, CZW, we gotta be here more. Because it's not just that match that matters to me. It's CMD versus the SATs. It's, it's things like, Matt Quay, Fabu and Rayu, Mike Walker, these guys that you really don't know that much about, but you will. The Aaron Ashes of the world showing what this man can do. And if you haven't seen him and JD Drake, I strongly advise you watch it. It's then you see Fred Yehi and Bobby Beverly. I'm giving the matches away now because they're not even all out. But Fred Yehi's wrestling the guy who won Tournament of Death. You're not going to see something like that. It's I'm not saying come to the show to see KENTA. I'm saying come to the show because KENTA's here. Come back because these other guys are going to make you want to come back. And that's really what it's all about. And this is me investing in them and them investing in me because just like I said about Griffin McCoy, he believes in CZW. And, I think even with all the trials and tribulations, we'll be able to rebuild this thing, where I want it to be relatively quickly.
It definitely seems like you're on that track going into 2023.
Well, I mean, going into 2023, we have a lot of things going. You said this isn't coming out till January, correct? So, because at the time of this recording, might as well talk about some things that are going to be released. So, you will see that the premier streaming service that has just got announced recently, we are going to be moving all of our content there, and we will be exclusively on Premiere, and we will be a feature there. And if you are a deathmatch fan and you are into the hardcore stuff, actually starting next week, the Ultraviolet Underground will return. Now, that is actually not a CZW brand, but it is an associate with CZW. And CZW is a part of it. And we will be doing the Ultraviolet Underground, and it will be a new, unique, not done before concept on how we are doing things. And, you know, all those details should be out, hopefully by the time of this airs. And, you know, something that's not been done. And those are things that we want to, you know, really, really push. You know, we want to get back to that, you know, excellence and innovation and, you know, that kind of thing that really drove CZW to be unique, you know, put in the extra work. So 2023, we have all that, as well as, you know, we're going to be bringing back a lot of the marquee events and building new ones. So you're going to see the Tournament of Death next year. You're going to see Best of the Best this year. And you're also going to see Cage of Death. And it's just a matter of what's going to be the new stuff. And how are we going to build to those things, and if people are going to take the ride with us.
Alright. Well, we've been talking about DJ Hyde the promoter. Let's talk about DJ Hyde the wrestler. You wrestled Anita in a tag match. What was it like to be in the ring with you know, obviously the god of deathmatch wrestling?
Which time?
The tag match with Matt
Oh,
Tremont.
it's CZW. Okay, yeah. Well, we wrestled him in Japan a couple of times, but that's okay. I mean, Onita. I mean, I have no clue how I magically got him to come to the U.S., but he came, and being in there with him, it's such it's a pleasure and an honor. I mean, guys like him were the reason that a lot of guys got into the deathmatch realm. And, you know, having him in the, 2300 arena with Masada, myself, and Matt Tremont in a tag team match at one of CZW's marquee shows is just mind-boggling on how, that guy has, done it. I think at that point, though, I'd already been in the ring with him probably 4 times, but it's one of those things where you're doing that in a place where CZW's ran more events than anybody in history in the 2300 arena, including ECW, and that's a fact. You can Google it.
Wow.
You also have to understand that's like the house I grew up in. I was a fan of ECW. I mean, our school was there for years. I've promoted events there, some of the bigger events. I've been there for like these autograph signing things. So I'll be there for one of those on the 17th. There's a lot of stuff that has gone on. It's like the house you grew up in. I mean, at one point, I had keys to that building, and I basically never left, because we were wrestling all the time. And it's just such a great feeling and an honor to be out there with him and 2 of the best deathmatch wrestlers, besides him in history with Masada and Matt Tremont. I mean, both of those guys have just done amazing things in this industry, in that facet of our industry. So, I mean, it's just such a great honor and amazing feeling knowing to be out there, even though you have to get hit with exploding bats and stuff. So it's not fun. So.
You mentioned the 2300 arena. You're an ECW guy yourself. So, what was it what was it like being in there like the first time? And do you kind of still feel the same way being in that arena like you did the first time, even going back now?
I mean, the first time that I used to, I was a wrestler who used to still be a fan of CZW. I'd wrestle on smaller independents. CZW, when I used to come, was like the child of ECW. It was, I used to go to ECW when I was a kid. You'd find ways to get into the shows and be creative. Because you're a younger guy, but I'm a bigger guy, so I could always pull some stuff off. And, now going there now, it's like going into the house you grew up in, and they completely remodeled everything, kicked down the door. It was. Let's face facts. It was a shithole. It was terrible when we were there. It was this big empty bingo hall warehouse that had like crappy heat and terrible bathrooms, and it was just notorious. But it was ours. Now you go in there and it's pristine and it's nice and it's got top of the line effects in there and LED screens, this and all that stuff, and you're just looking around going, man, it's completely different, and you don't see the blood and all the stuff all over. And the bathrooms are clean. They got security. Like, they have guys that are like police officers and a big, this big ticket window, and the door is in a different area. And there's not, there's not those things that you remember. It's just so different. But it's still yours in some way. While ECW may have made the building, we took it to another place and kept it alive. And now you have big events in there, and TV companies that run in there. And I mean, it was kind of like home. And you can always go back home. And, even if your mom and dad go to the retirement house when they're in their, 60s and 70s, and that, it's down at the beach, it's still your house. That's all that matters, and that's what it feels like being there now. And, one of the things that, I remember telling people, and I still tell people, and I'll use Layla Hirsch as an example, and guys like her and Jordan Oliver and some of my, guys that were younger students and people that we were training that were on the shows and working with, I would tell them, you're in this building, take it in. Take it in, realize where you are. It's like the first time I wrestled in Korakuen Hall, like I took it in, that was a big deal to me in Japan. Like, it was a huge deal for me personally. And, being where ECW used to be, watching the guys that I used to watch younger, and now, like, I've probably wrestled most of them. So it's, it's one of those things. Al Snow is like my mentor. He's the guy that I credit with my knowledge. He's not my first trainer or how I broke in, but I claim him to smarten me up to the wrestling industry. You kind of got to go and look at it for what that is, and then when you're seeing that, you're just kind of mind boggled. And even now, it's still one of those things. You just walk in there and you kind of just get that feeling, even though it's still not the same. It's not the same view, not the same look. Everything's different. Everything's, the walls have been kicked down and knocked down. The showers and stuff are clean that are in the back, and they're building a restaurant, and there's a full bar in there now. It's the paint looks good. Completely different than everything it used to be.
That bar would have been nice back in the day, right?
I think fans would have really enjoyed it. But now it's it's a different feel, a different atmosphere, but it's still the arena, and that's what I think everybody loves.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Korakuen Hall. Because I'm a big buildings guy. Obviously, the 2300 arena is one of the biggest, and obviously Korakuen Hall. Some call it the Madison Square Garden of Japan. What was it like for you to be inside that arena and wrestle?
The first time? I mean,
Yeah.
I've wrestled there a bunch of times now.
Yeah, the first time.
It was an experience for me that I will never forget. I mean, you kind of go into Korakuen and you go into Tokyo Dome City, and Tokyo Dome City is unlike any place you're going to go to. It is an entity of its own, and it's just so hard to explain. You go into the wrestling shops and the New Japan stores, and you go into Korakuen Hall, and then you're looking at all the names that have been there and that have signed the walls at times, and I was still there when the walls were all signed, and I was also there when they painted over them. And you're seeing names that you would not believe, and you're walking in their footsteps. And I remember when I first got there and did the first tour, we would be going around, and it'd be like, today very easy show, DJ, today is very easy, but tomorrow Korakuen Hall, big show, be ready, big show. And I was like, okay. And I just kind of like, I remember getting there early and just kind of sitting around and sitting there by myself, and just kind of, like I said, taking it in and going, okay, not everybody gets to do this, and I might never do this again. And I was thinking that at the first time I was there, thinking like, I might never come back, who knows. And you just kind of take a privilege. And I had the semi-main event on the card, and fans reacted. We did everything we needed to do, and when you come out and people know who you are and you've never been there before, and you're getting CZW chants, and you get that opportunity, it's unlike anything else.
Do you kind of still get that feeling even when you go back?
There's definitely a comfortability about it now, where for a while there, at one point, I was going back, but I was taking people with me. I took Adam Cole and Sami Callihan on a tour. I took Black Cheese, Drake Youngers. I've taken Danny Havoc's. Nick Gage has been with me, Masada multiple times. I mean, so many guys that were just there. Same thing with like Europe. Like when we went over to do some stuff when we were last there to announce a tour, I was with Anthony Green and Joe Gacy, who had never been international. And, they got to wrestle in front of WWE because obviously, they were at Evolved at that point as well as working for CZW, but, they got to literally wrestle in front of, some of the NXT UK office, and people were there because they have an affiliation with WXW. I feel like kind of a tour guide sometimes, I'm happy to bring guys around and go, hey, here's where this is. I've walked these footsteps, so I know it. It's now your turn. Let me show you around. Look, this is how I felt. Look, here's my name, put your name next to mine, something like that. And, I've been honored to do that at some places. My name's on the wall in the New Japan store, which is, mind-boggling to me, and now I have Kenta coming in. So it's kind of one of those things where, when you do those things, it's here, hey, guys, this is how you have to X, Y, and Z. And I kind of go a little bit into my trainer mode, but then you're just watching these guys that have so much more talent, and you're getting them opportunities younger than I did, and getting them even better opportunities because, I can go and fight for them. I can do things and say, hey, let me be the bad guy and open my big mouth and put my 2 cents in. And it usually works, because if I can say, hey, this guy needs to be in this match, at the end of the day, it might work for them. And there's guys in this industry that, through some of those tours. So Tommy, or Alf, Malachi Black, and me are pretty friendly. We have a great relationship. Even him and, his wife, who works for WWE, and we all know. Me and Tommy got extremely close. Not when I was bringing him over to America, but on a tour over there because, I spoke up for him and his tag partner, Michael Dante, at the time. And, he was wrestling under Tommy End. And, he's one of those type of people now that, he wishes my wife a Merry Christmas. He doesn't have to do that. I mean, I haven't seen him in person in probably 5 years. But he still reaches out, and that's because we came so close, just because, I went to bat for him, and, he got it and got to show like what they really can do. And it impressed, and it's helped him get to the platforms that he's at now. And, that's something that he remembered. And it's just happy for me to see guys like that, get their due and get their just, whatever they have to do.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh, for sure, definitely. Now you won the Rockstar Pro Championship from Rhino.
Probably. I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, I was going to ask, being an ECW guy, what was it like to be in the ring with Rhino?
Probably. I had probably wrestled Rhino several times before. I wrestled him in Rockstar Pro. It was kind of an honor. I mean, when you get to wrestle these guys that you grow up with, and Rhino at that point had already been working for WWE at times. I mean, he's at Impact now.
Yes.
You just get to sit there and pick his brain a little bit, hear the stories. I think a lot of guys in younger towns are afraid to go up to these guys, and that's the opposite of what you should do. You might not always like what they have to say, or they might not always say the right thing, but there's nothing wrong with approaching a guy. Worst thing they can tell you is, no, or get away, kid, or I don't want to hear from you, or so they say no. But if they say yes, that little bit of time that they can spend with you might be worth a huge investment in the long run. And Rhino's that kind of guy. Really is. And that I vaguely remember it, to be honest, because a lot of times I've taken a lot of dumb things over 25 years. And my memory is not always the best. And a lot of the matches could, here's a funny story I can tell you, because this is this way. So do you know who, I'm assuming you know who Juice Robinson is.
Yeah.
So Juice Robinson, he was at WWE and he just got released. And I brought him in for Best of the Best. And he wasn't Juice Robinson at that time. And, he came in and I was like, oh, hi, I'm DJ Hyde and blah, 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 blah. And he said to me, he goes, we've wrestled 3 times. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you were one of my first matches and this and this and this. And I'm just like, where was this? And I had no clue. He was like, oh, we wrestled for IWA and then we wrestled for this place. And I was like, how does he know this stuff? And because I just never really, I don't know. I think at one point I used to have a notebook with all my matches and everything, the results. I used to keep all that stuff. And then after a while, it just got to be work and I just stopped doing it. And, and I know there's guys that still do that, to this day, and they've been wrestling just as long as me. Chris Hero is one of those guys. Chris has a notebook and writes down all of his stuff. And I mean, the amount of matches that he's had is utterly ridiculous compared to even, some other guys. I mean, he was probably one of the most in-demand wrestlers of the time at one point, but it was one of those things where, like, I just didn't remember,
I'm sure the match
because
with
there's,
Thumbtack Jack didn't do you any favors, right?
yeah, well, I mean, it's not the only time I've done that dumb spot, but, that spot knocked me unconscious, and that's the only time I've ever been unconscious. So that was a rough day, let's just say. And then I had to go back out there later
Oh,
and
God.
and get killed. So and then that spot got so notorious that it was like, hey, we want you to do this, and I'm like, okay, great, sure, I can do it. So you kind of just roll with it, and like I said, like, there's so much wrestling that, like, I see, not to mention just as a wrestler, but like as a coach, as a promoter, as somebody who's always looking at stuff. Like, you brought up the Rockstar shows. I'd watch the whole show. There were very few matches that I would not get to at least see some part of. Because guys would ask me, hey, what did you think, or this or that, or what do you want to do? And there's always times where you're like sitting there going, well, not doing this today. So it's one of those things where you're watching the audiences and seeing how they're reacting and seeing what's going on, and you kind of got to take that gauge. And I still do that today. I mean, I was at a tryout that had 173 people. So and they all did matches. And that was just this past Saturday. And then there was a show afterwards. So they did that. That ran from 8 a.m. to 4 o'clock. And there were probably about 30 promoters there to watch these guys and girls. And then they did a show afterwards, which was Nova's last match. And there was another 9 matches on that. I think in the day I watched over 60-some matches in a day.
Wow.
And there are people emailing me for feedback where I'm just going, I don't even remember what you look like, dude. So like I'm like, you're emailing me and like you're trying to get me to remember you off your name, and I'm just like, I have no clue what. Like, can you send me your demo package or something? So that's kind of what it is.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but you won the wrestler?
I have, yes, I was in the wrestler quite a lot.
Can you tell us about being in the wrestler and how that came about?
That's kind of a funny story. So, Off of the Wild Samoan, who is one of my original trainers, had originally the wrestler wasn't Mickey Rourke; it was Nicolas Cage. So we came up there to work with them and to also do a tryout to be in the movie. They would do a screening. I mean, what you actually saw in the movie, there was a lot of things that were filmed that you never get to see, that never aired. I mean, there was so much footage that I was like, when I watched the movie, I was like, hey, I remember all this other stuff. Where is it? So, I mean, and that was the first time where, I was in a movie. And then, obviously that's how the Necro Butcher got involved in CZW, and a lot of things. Myself and Maven Bentley were there, and we had also both been working for the Samoans for years at that point. And, I fortunately had some DVDs in my bag. And that's how CZW got involved in the movie, and a lot of other places. And then, Cage of Death, Darren Aronofsky came down and watched the show with Mickey, and they sat up in the crow's nest. And, fortunately, I was in the main event of Cage of Death that year, and they watched the Necro Butcher beat the ever-living crap out of all of us. So that was, he stood out, and I got to do a lot of great things, and that opened up a lot of doors. I've done a lot of stunt work in movies and things along those lines. I've got to meet a lot of great people, and
it really has played into, some good opportunities for me and some things that have, been great.
Right. Interesting. Now, can you tell us about your love of Disney World?
Disney is my thing with me and my wife. I was married in Walt Disney World, and it's been something that's been important to us. Walt Disney is one of my heroes, and always has been. I mean, just his creativity and his mind and how he would think of things. There's a lot of catchphrases and things that he uses that I like to use a lot in my everyday life. So it just so mattered. And Disney connects. It's kind of very similar to wrestling and even some of my thought processes in wrestling and how things are done.
Definitely. And you also have a love of Star Wars, correct?
I do. Where are you finding all these facts? Because I try to keep a lot of this stuff quiet. Yeah, I definitely do love Star Wars. I love long-term storytelling. There's certain things that I like. I mean, there's things like that. I have lightsabers and I have a big cloak and stuff like that. I mean, I could probably tell you the lore. I'm not that into it. Like, I don't read the books or any of that. But if it's on tape, I've probably seen it. Whether it's a cartoon or a live movie or whatever, I'd probably watch it.
Now, do you watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or do you go 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3?
I would probably watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I would also watch all the in-betweens.
Alright. And what's your go-to? What's your favorite one?
That's tough. I don't know. I mean, probably Empire Strikes Back, I'm a big fan of the Clone Wars. I thought Clone Wars was really, really good. And now, like, Bad Batch is coming out again.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm a big fan of that. So I've kind of gotten into, I think they're a little more gritty than some of the movies. I also have like ideas for another 4 Star Wars movie that I've always wanted to pitch, but well, I always look at things from a business perspective. So who is the greatest Star Wars character ever? It is Darth Vader. Unfortunately, he's dead. But see, there's these great things called cloning. And there are samples of his blood and all kinds of stuff on Mustafar. So, and it's still there. So somebody's got to find it. And man, what he could have been. So, what he could have been. But he's Vader. So.
I need to get somebody from Disney to watch this. Let's get DJ Hyde's Star Wars story published. Get it produced.
I come up with some ideas like that. I see people on like YouTube, they do these like fan movie type things and stuff like that. And I watch some of those here and there, but I just think of it from a big picture. I mean, Darth Vader is still the most popular character and sells very, very well. And I mean, I know that from going to Disney, and also just as a villain, he's probably one of the top things. But he's also kind of a good guy too, and I think a lot of people can relate to him. And I think bringing him back would bring back a whole new saga, but you have to have a way to do that. So the introduction of that is cloning, because they have shown that through all the lore and all the cartoons and all the things that there are still people out there that know that that research was still out there at the time. It is definitely doable because, well, we have the clones. So it's just a matter of maybe somebody evil that we haven't, that didn't die in certain things, and finding that information. And then, it's a matter of, them what. But I mean, I could talk about that all night. I don't want to do that. This will be here forever.
Well, let's get into the colossal question. They decide to make a movie about DJ Hyde. It's gonna be a big produced blockbuster, and every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first three songs on the DJ Hyde movie soundtrack?
Wow. I don't know. I think obviously my entrance music, which is by a band called Octane, a song called Sick Like. I think that song, Wanted Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi would be on it. That's for sure. And then probably Johnny Cash, Hurt would be on it, I think. They would be three of the bigger name songs that I think come right off the page at me.
Alright, and those are three solid picks, obviously. Do you lock it in?
I would lock that in, yes. I would say all three of those songs would definitely be on the soundtrack. They get them to my mind first.
Now, obviously, every movie makes their soundtrack first, even before there's a script done, and then we go into casting. Who would play DJ Hyde? And you can't say yourself because you're legally obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
I don't know. That would be a tough question. Yeah. I don't know. Who would play me? It'd probably be some unknown. That would probably be what it is. It'd probably be one of those guys that comes out of nowhere that's been doing independent pictures for a while. And then it gets the big break in the big movie.
I actually love that answer. Giving somebody a new opportunity.
Oh, there's. I mean, what would the world be like without DJ Hyde?
And who would be three people in your movie, and who would play them?
I guess it really depends on the time period. One of the things that happen. I mean, people come and go throughout this industry, and throughout my life. That would be there. I mean, obviously, I have my wife, and then you can sit here and say, there's a lot of people I've been close with over the years, and there's different genres and time periods of what's going on. I mean, even if it's just a focus on the CZW days, and you'd have like a Maven Bentley and a Black G's and a Joker. G's and Joker early. We used to travel together, and then later you get into the Adam Coles and the Sammy Callahans and John Moxleys. There was definitely the 2010 to 2016 crew that we had was just, it was just phenomenal. And as time goes on, there's the Matt Tremonts and Masadas and other people that really get into it. And then there's even the now, and there's people now that a lot of people just don't see. And it just really depends. That's a tough question, cast on a movie. I could sit here and say there's a lot of big names I'd like to have, but big names don't exactly always draw. I'd love to see people who fit the part and can play it well.
I'm genuinely curious, who would you pick to play Masada?
Oh, man. Somebody crazy, that's for sure. Somebody definitely who's from Texas, that's for sure. 'Cause, man, Masada he's a Texan, that's for sure. I mean, but it also have to be somebody who's tough and scary, especially when they're mad or intoxicated. Because he is, Masada is definitely, he's probably one of the greatest wrestlers you're ever going to see. I mean, the man knows his stuff, and he is one of the most believable guys you'll ever see in your life. But, I mean, he's also one of those people who just doesn't care. He'll shoot you in the face. He's the guy he's definitely one of the people I know that I've always said that, if I go to war, I want him on. I want Masada with me. And if I got to take down somebody, that's the guy you want on your team. So.
Right. Well, maybe maybe the movie will be we'll add sequels so we could tell the full story of DJ Hyde.
That would be phenomenal.
And we could make that. We could pre-order. You could pre-order the tickets right now.
That would be really, really great.
Well, that brings us to our next segment. DJ Hyde's Bizarre Adventure. You're for wrestler that goes up and down the road taking weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
A road story. Man. Honestly, as I said, my memory is not the best. So, I mean, I can tell you one time we were coming back from Canada and Jimmy Lloyd was asleep at the wheel for over an hour, and somehow we did it right. Yeah, that was amazing. I don't know how that happened, but I just couldn't drive anymore, and Jimmy took over, and the next thing you know, we're just driving. I'm like, Jimmy, we're good. That was kind of scary. We haven't had that many crazy stories. I mean, there's plenty of times where guys, like, I'm not going to expose their extracurricular activities, but there's plenty of times where guys have, not been able to do certain things because of extracurricular activities. I can tell you, Danny Havoc disappeared one time in Japan, and I remember Drake Younger waking me up at like 3 or 4 in the morning after we had been out all night and going, "Oh, DJ, I lost Grant." And I'm like, "What do you mean you lost him? He's gone." We're out in the streets of Sapporo looking for Danny Havoc, and somehow he just like fell asleep in an elevator. We just couldn't find him. So I mean, it was just like one of those things. Like, oh my god, we got to be on the bus at like 6 a.m. Like, where is he? So. And I remember at one point he told it wasn't him. At one point he told me, "I'm gonna go and live my life in Japan." And I was like, "You do that. You go and do that. Good for you." So just some funny stuff. So.
Well, onto a controversial subject: pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Not really had it. Not really my thing. So. Like pizza, not a fan of pineapple, but I'm a big fan of pizza. I mean, so, but maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I can't remember having it on pizza.
All right. And we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Doug? THUG.
Do I know the acronym? I do not, but I'm sure Tracy would have one.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, because a Doug can't spell. Yes, we love the late great Tracy Smothers, trying to keep the memory alive.
Yes.
Did you have any interactions with Tracy?
Yes, we've got to wrestle a few times in the Midwest, and we've been on many shows together in the Midwest. Tracy's worked for CZW and myself a couple of times. He was just a pleasure to be around.
Oh, absolutely. Never met him personally, but he's definitely one of those guys I definitely wish I could have. Alright, and since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of death.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Whenever you are.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Hulk Hogan.
It's excluding yourself.
I said Hulk Hogan. Hogan.
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Hogan or Kobashi. Pick one. See, either or.
Worst wrestler.
Oh, God. That list is long. I don't know. Me and Drew Gulak used to have a imaginary wrestling federation of all the bad wrestlers. I can't remember who the champion was. A lot of bad people, but I couldn't tell you.
Oh no. You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Hogan. Yeah, Hogan.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Flair.
Okay, cool. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
Dead.
You would have also accepted taste great on toast. Squash. Fruit or vegetable?
Vegetable, I think.
It is a fruit.
Oh, it's a fruit.
Tomato logic. New Japan pro wrestler Taichi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
That depends on the character.
And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
Actually, yeah. Surprisingly.
Alright, you have to elaborate.
I know Darby's ex-wife pretty well. And obviously we all know her as Gigi Dolan now. And she used to actually at not AWE, Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment, used to manage me. And in a supermarket, somebody recognized me in Atlanta, and that's how that conversation got up, and Darby's name got brought into the conversation.
And that is the correct answer.
Wonderful.
And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me, DJ.
Yep, no problem.
Once again, where can we find all things CCW?
You can go to czwrestling.com, or you can find anything on Combat Zone at Combat Zone on every social media platform, or official CZW on Facebook. You can find me at DJ Hyde _1 on all social media.
And of course, all of those links will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube chat box, simply click the link and a new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You've been listening to him for over an hour and a half. Give him a damn follow. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, but on YouTube and Castbox. Join us as we continue our 4-year anniversary as we interview Little Mean Cat King tomorrow. And of course, all of this is sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Follow us on Twitter at WrestlingWithE and on Instagram as well for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. You can follow me personally at JamesJ993. You can follow Kaliko at I am Kaliko, and you can follow Scooter Dust at Scooter Dust. And on the Remix, the only live alternative commentary for WWE PLEs, and on the Smoking Dragons Twitch stream. Now, for our very special guest DJ Hyde, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.